many ways between the United States and countries like China and India. Korea is in the Asia-Pacific six-party effort on, not the six-party North Korea effort, but the Clean Energy and Environment Forum, which I hope the next administration will continue. So Korea is really poised to play a critical role with the United States as a regional and global player. And I think I've argued, and I think these are my words, not John McCain's, but in many ways Korea is a pivot country, and the U.S. Korea alliance is a pivotal alliance. Whether it's questions of values, Korea hosting the Asia-Pacific Democracy Partnership is very popular in countries like Indonesia. It's good that it's not the United States doing it. And Korea helping us with these things is of great interest to us. Korea as a DAC country, as a donor aid country, sets a model that we should try to get countries like China to follow in terms of transparency and supporting good governance. Korea working with NATO or working in Afghanistan, or what Korea did with the Zaitung battalion in Iraq, all set examples that have an effect far beyond the peninsula. And I think that's an area where I hope both candidates would, but I know John McCain would, really build on this relationship and our common values and interests to forge a global alliance. Thank you.
Mike, thank you very much. Frank, let me turn the mic over to you, please.
Thank you very much, Jack, and thank you to the Korean Economic Institute for hosting this event, and thanks to Micheal Green, who had the courtesy, I guess, 11 or 12 years ago to invite me to join a Korea task force that he was directing for the Council on Foreign Relations, and had an opportunity to work with him then, and I've had an opportunity to work with him since then. And I've always learned a lot from him and have enormous respect for him, and I wish that his voice within the McCain campaign was even larger than it already is.
There we go.
And I certainly hope that when he finds himself back in government, as he inevitably will at some point during his career, that his voice will be listened to by whoever is in charge at the time. There will be much about our presentations that will be similar, because in fact I don't think there are as many differences between Senator McCain and Senator Obama on the issue of how to handle the Korean Peninsula and how to handle our relationships in Asia than is sometimes alleged. I will try to highlight those differences where they exist, but let me start with some of the similarities. As Micheal pointed out, the U.S. and Korea have an enormously long and fruitful history together. The first Koreans arrived in the United States 150 years ago, in 1903, so I guess not quite 150 years ago, in Honolulu. And ever since then, Koreans have been coming to the United States. We now have roughly 2 million Korean Americans, 150,000 Korean American-owned businesses with more than 350,000 employees that contribute more than $50 billion to the U.S. economy. The ties between our two countries are based not only on common interests, but also, as Micheal pointed out, on shared values. And those values are enshrined in our alliance. We celebrated the 55th anniversary of the alliance this month, on October 1st. And it's an alliance, as Micheal pointed out, which is forged in blood, in bloody struggle against common adversaries. First during the Korean War, when more than 5.7 million Americans served in Korea, and more than 55,000 of them died there. But people sometimes forget the ways in which our alliance have fought together in the years since the Korean War. There were 3 Korean divisions who fought alongside U.S. and other Allied troops in Vietnam: White Horse Division, Tiger Division, and a Marine Division, the Blue Dragons. They fought valiantly and were among the most distinguished units in that war. There are Koreans serving alongside U.S. forces today in Afghanistan, and Korea participated in the war in Iraq as well, contributing mightily to the success that has been, whatever success has been managed there since the war began. Senator Biden and Senator Obama, as well as Senator McCain, all want to see a 21st century vision for the U.S.-Korea alliance. President Myung-bak has articulated his desire to see that vision come to fruition. And what does that mean, a 21st century alliance? My own view is that this reflects the fact that what once was a uniquely and exclusively bilateral alliance oriented against a common threat. It's becoming an alliance with a broader purpose, one that is based on common interests and common values as much as a single defining common threat. The first challenge for the alliance remains deterring North Korean aggression and accomplishing the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, but other challenges await. Promoting peace and security on the Korean Peninsula with the goal of formally ending the Korean War and setting the stage for normalization of relations and ultimately reunification. The challenge of cooperating on transnational threats, terrorism, non-proliferation, energy security, trafficking in persons, pandemics. Some of these are non-traditional threats for which the alliance is well positioned to contribute to global solutions. And we need to work together to manage the emergence of China as a major power. China's emergence, to me, is the defining event of the 21st century. How it is managed is going to set the stage for peace and stability and economic growth, or instability, rivalry, nationalism, zero-sum politics. So we need to get it right, and the U.S. Korea alliance is a part of that process. As a symbol of the close relationship that we have, the Congress recently granted Korea NATO status as a U.S. treaty ally with respect to access to U.S. defense goods and services. This is a long overdue and appropriate response to Korea's history of reliability as an ally. And I'm delighted the President signed into law H.R. 7177 just this month. As Michael said, we have both a security dimension, but we also have economic and cultural and personal aspect of this relationship. So let me talk briefly about trade. I'm not an economic advisor to the campaign. I'm not an economics specialist. But it doesn't take one to understand the importance of the U.S.-ROK economic relationship. This is the 7th largest trading relationship the United States has in the world. We need to do more to cement our economic ties, which are, in fact, mutually beneficial. Senator Obama has said that the Korea-U.S. Free Trade Agreement does not ensure effective market access for certain key manufacturing and agricultural products, and that he cannot support it in its current form. That said, there is no denying that Senator Obama supports free trade. He is not a protectionist. He wants to deepen the U.S.-Korean economic relationship. And I personally hope that we will find ways to move forward on a trade agenda under an Obama administration. It cannot be a good thing that the United States exports 5,000 automobiles a year to Korea, and that Korea exports 700,000 automobiles here. And the price for this is not paid, with all due respect, by politicians. It's paid by American workers. So we need to do some work. The cultural and tourism links, the educational links, in addition to the 2 million plus Korean Americans here, we have hundreds of thousands of Koreans who visit every year. Senator Biden was a leader in the Senate in trying to get Korea into the visa waiver program and in spurring the administration to make the necessary policy decisions to bring Korea into that, as the President now has done finally this year. As Jack pointed out in his opening remarks, this is a very important development. I've been to Seoul many, many times, dozens of times, and every time I go by the embassy, I see the long lines of people standing out, sometimes in the bitter cold, for hours, despite the best efforts of our embassy personnel to process them expeditiously. The visa waiver program is going to help a lot and help to cement the ties between our two countries. North Korea. On North Korea, I really sometimes struggle with which John McCain is going to emerge. The John McCain who supports engagement, the John McCain who says that we should work with China on this solution, the John McCain who says that the six-party talks are worth pursuing, or the John McCain who has condemned all of those efforts at various times dating back to 1993. I won't belabor all of the instances now, although I'm happy to provide specific instances. As recently as 2 years ago, following North Korea's nuclear test, Senator McCain on MSNBC said that the worst thing that we could possibly do would be to accede to North Korea's demand for bilateral talks. If we had followed that advice 2 years ago, today North Korea would have reprocessed its spent fuel. They would have sufficient fissile material for an additional 3 to 5 or more nuclear weapons. And we would have no IAEA inspectors on the ground. North Korea would not be disabling their nuclear facilities. So